Hey YouTube, what's going on? Lionheart here, and on today's video, I'd like to talk about my new Permafrost comp, which has been getting a lot of attention lately from the Twitch community. You'll be able to use my Permafrost comp to clear the new abyss with ease, including floor 11 with 9 stars. In this video, I'll explain why this comp works, and I'll test it out in actual gameplay. Before we get started, I want to say thanks for taking time out of your day to watch this video. I work hard on guides like this, and your support is appreciated. If you find my content helpful, I hope you'll subscribe to my channel and enable alerts. It helps me out a lot. So thanks. Okay, let's talk about the comp, Lion Permafrost. What makes this comp great is its ability to completely lock down enemies while generating high sustained damage. You can also use freeze to buy time for the longer cooldowns on Childe and Xingqiu, eliminating the need for Childe to reach his max constellation to be effective as a primary DPS. This comp has done very well for me in almost all content, even prior to the recent changes to Abyss. If you missed it, I cleared the old floor 12-3 in 43 seconds with Lion Permafrost, and it has only become stronger in the new version of Abyss. I'll go over how to properly use Lion Permafrost later in this video. Before we get to that, let's chat about the characters you're going to need and what artifacts and weapons I recommend. You do not need constellations to run Lion Permafrost, and I have verified by asking other people to test it live on Twitch and observing the results. Here's N2 studying up as proof.
Alright. Xingqiu E, Kaeya Q, go to Childe's E, and then use it until it runs out. Once it runs out, use your Childe Q into either Kaeya E or Diona E, and then try to build time for something, and then use Xingqiu E or Xingqiu Q, and then Diona Q, and then you go back into Childe. Okay, I think I remembered it. Okay, what was it again? Wait, I don't remember it. I remembered it and then I forgot it.
She went on to clear floor 11 with all stars after that. Don't worry, you don't have to memorize anything she just said, because I will guide you through how to use this comp in the content ahead. To start, you will need the following characters: Childe, Kaeya, Diona, and Xingqiu. Some possible substitutes include Ganyu for Kaeya once she is released, and Chi for Diona. I don't recommend using Chongyun since Childe can't use Chong's elemental skill. This comp enables Cryo Resonance, which increases your party's crit rate by 15% against frozen enemies or enemies under the effects of Cryo, and reduces how long you are affected by Electro. This is very good in the latest version of Abyss. The Hydro Resonance is less relevant, but you will have access to its 30% increased healing and resistance to Pyro. Let's go into each character individually, starting with Childe. Childe should use the new Heart of Depth Hydro set, which provides a 15% Hydro damage bonus and boosts Childe's normal and charged attack damage by 30% for 15 seconds each time he switches stances. This bonus is applied on every stance switch, meaning going from melee to ranged will activate the bonus again. It's important to not be greedy with Childe's melee stance, since it's your highest source of damage. My Childe is high constellation, but I will show you a floor 11 clear where I don't use the high constellation stance reset. This will help you see that a clear is possible even at C0. I'm using the following artifacts with Childe: HP, attack, attack percent, hydro damage bonus, and crit rate. Next up is Kaeya, who should use the new Blizzard Strayer set, which provides a 15% cryo damage bonus and boosts Kaeya's crit rate by 40% versus frozen enemies. This means you only need 45% crit rate to get guaranteed crits with Kaeya, as you'll gain the remaining 55% from the artifact set and cryo resonance. You can build Kaeya to deal damage while Childe's melee stance is on cooldown, or use his elemental skill with Xingqiu's to freeze enemies and buy more time for cooldowns. I'm using the following artifacts with Kaeya: HP, Attack, Elemental Mastery, Cryo Damage Bonus, and Crit Damage. I recommend using an attack percentage sans over an Elemental Mastery one. However, I didn't have one for this video. I won't go into details about Diona's build, but it's identical to the guide I released for her. You can find a link to that video in the description below. I will mention that you can run a 4-piece Noblesse instead of Maidens to increase your damage. I value her as a healer, so that's not what I'm doing, but it is a good option for players who want the absolute fastest clear possible. Lastly, let's chat about Xingqiu. Xingqiu is running Noble Heart, which is 2-piece Noblesse and 2-piece Heart of Depth. This maximizes damage from Xingqiu's Elemental Burst, which at Constellation 2 shreds Hydro resistance by 15%. Xingqiu adds a ton of damage to the team without needing to stay in combat, and you can use his elemental skill with the other cryo characters to freeze enemies and buy time for Childe's melee stance to return off cooldown. I'm using the following artifacts with Xingqiu: HP, Attack, Attack percent, and Crit Rate. For now, I don't have a second Hydro damage bonus goblet, which is why I'm running an Attack percent goblet. However, as you will see, you do not need perfect artifacts to take advantage of this comp. This gives me the following total stats on each character: Childe with 1900 attack, 83% crit rate, 186% crit damage, 113% energy recharge, and 90% hydro damage bonus. Kaeya with 1200 attack, 33% crit rate, 168% crit damage, 195% energy recharge, and 61% cryo damage bonus. Diona with 1100 attack, 23% crit rate, 82% crit damage, 217% energy recharge, and 58% cryo damage bonus. Xingqiu with 1700 attack, 58% crit rate, 98% crit damage, 178% energy recharge, and 35% hydro damage bonus. It's important to note everyone except Childe is only level 60 ascended. This means I have access to all talents, but I am dealing way less damage than what is otherwise possible, since character level has an impact on your total damage output through the formula. I can greatly improve my clear speed and total damage output by leveling my characters more in the future. In the footage ahead, I'll be explaining over gameplay why I'm doing exactly what I'm doing and how to use the comp in your own game. You should be able to use this to study the different rotations that I use and understand how the build works in order to get the best possible clear for yourself. If you have any questions, I hope you'll post them in the comments below, and otherwise, let's go ahead and move forward into gameplay. While we go ahead and clear this Pyro Regisfine, I want to explain what the content is ahead, because this actually won't take long. I'm going to show you floor 11 and floor 12 of Abyss. I'm going to show you both teams. The first team is not what this video is about. It's just a double Geo team with Bennett and Chongyun. The second team is the freeze comp team. So if you're only interested in the Lion Permafrost team comp, then you're going to just skip to team 2 along the way for Abyss. Also, for the Lion Permafrost team comp, I am not using Childe's C6 constellation. I have a max constellation Childe, but I'm intentionally not using the reset offered by his C6, so that way you can see how Childe will perform at lower constellation. I can't do anything to turn off C1, so I do have a 20% reduced cooldown, but trust me, don't self-sabotage and not use the build because of that. It will work for you. I have seen numerous players use it at C0 already when I was running around Twitch asking people to test it. So like, please don't self-sabotage. It works. It's a good build. You can use it at any constellation. Okay, let's go ahead and talk about the build I'm doing right now. This is the double Geo build with Bennett and Chongyun. The reason why I like this build is because Albedo and Zhongli have really great energy generation, and on floor 11 where your energy is getting sapped all the time, I feel like that is super important if you want to be using elemental bursts. And it's going to help you get faster clears. It's going to help you protect the monolith on the second chamber. And so it just ends up being really, really good. And then what I do is I like Chongyun and Bennett. My Bennett will actually change damage. He's upgraded, or they tell you not to do that, but I didn't know that when I did it because it was like the first day. So yeah, so basically I can change Zhong's damage with the comp, which is really cool, and I'll talk about it more later. Here's the first example of the Lion Permafrost comp. So let's talk about what I'm doing. First, I switch to Cryo, and I'm going to apply Cryo. Then I'm going to switch to Childe and activate Melee Stance. It's instantly going to freeze them, and I want to try and freeze them grouped. To not be greedy, I switch out of Melee Stance, and I use my ultimate in Bow Stance. Why am I using my ultimate in Bow Stance? Well, two reasons. One, I don't want to activate the C6 reset unless I know I'm about to clear. And two, it gives you energy back, so you can actually have higher uptime on your ult. So here you're going to see me, I'm actually going to use the elemental burst in Melee Stance here, but that's because I know I'm going to be able to clear this without needing to switch out of Melee Stance. So you can see I'm committed to bursting them now. And you can do that a little cleaner than I did there, actually, by putting Diona ult down and then having them group around Diona ult, and you won't have to worry about them moving so much. All right, here's the floor that everybody struggles on, floor 11, chamber 2. You can see right away that I'm going to drop Bennett's ulti for improved damage. And look at my Geoconstruct placements. They're actually carefully designed to absorb attacks from the ranged enemies on the outside. All right, so I'm blocking damage that is directed towards the monolith by placing these two Geoconstructs strategically to take some of the hits. This keeps the health up on my Geoconstruct while I deal, or excuse me, on the monolith while I deal with the smaller enemies that are near the monolith, right? So yeah, so that's the key thing. Then this big guy who normally rushes down your monolith, I made sure to stand in his path so I could draw his aggro so he wouldn't go hit my monolith. Instead, he would fight me. Okay, and then from there, it's just rotating around the room, fighting the archers. The shield guy will chase you. You don't need to worry about him. He should just stay on you the whole time. And all you're going to do is you're going to go around and clear all the trash mobs. Notice, I'm not using Venti here. I had a few people come by and say, don't you need Venti in order to be able to clear floor 11? No, I'm not. I don't use Venti on floor 11. I don't use Venti on floor 12. You do not need Venti. It's not necessary. So you just need to know which units to focus and how to shift priority. If you don't have Zhongli to block with his Geoconstructs, you could try Ningguang. Her wall should be able to block a lot of that projectile damage. You're just trying to prevent those early units while you're dealing with the smaller units, those early archers from shooting your monolith. That's it. All right? I think that will help you shave a lot of enemy damage off so that your health is pretty good. Look how healthy my monolith is after that, right? No Venti. All right, so freeze comp starts. Here I miss. I actually whiffed that Xingqiu ability. Don't whiff that. Hit something with it so you don't waste damage. But otherwise, we activate Kaeya's ulti right away, and we go in with Melee Stance. You have to do it this way because those little bugs, this lady will deal a ton of damage to your monolith. Do not be greedy. All right, so for this one, I'm going to freeze him out and ignore him. And then I'm going to start focusing on these guys. I'm buying time for Melee Stance to come back up. It's now back up. And I'm going to cycle between the three of them, just freezing them and waiting for the freeze to undo. And that way they're not really doing any damage to the monolith, right? We're just preventing them. And then we come back and we finish off the assassin last. This is going to be like, what, a 76% HP clear on the monolith? You can do everything I just did there. There was no reset, nothing. So you can do all of that, all right? Hopefully you're now clearing the hardest floor and the rest of this is a cinch. But if not, you know, just go back, look at the footage a little more, and hopefully it will make sense to you. You can repeat the exact same order. All right. Here's the last chamber. I start with the Electro guy because I find him to be a pain. So you can notice I'm just stuttering him and keeping him in the corner. I ignore the Animo. I go all in on the Electro. That's the one that matters. So once he's down, then I'll switch to the Animo. I'll lose a little bit of time to his shield, but not too much. That's a big deal. Then to the Hydro. You gotta go for the Hydro, especially if you're not bringing somebody who can break Hydro, which I'm not. Hydro guy has to go down. If his shield goes up, it's going to be a big nightmare for me. So I focus him down, and then I switch to Electro. Okay? I have Chong in case Electro shields up. If Electro doesn't shield up, then I have nothing to worry about. And in this instance, we were able to kill him before he shielded up. But sometimes I can't do that, and then I'm very happy that I brought Chongyun so that I can burst him down. Last one is Geo, and we'll just burst him down, and then that'll be it. And pretty much just elemental reactions to break the shield, you know, is probably the fastest way to do it. That made it look easy, huh? It doesn't always go that smooth. All right, so here's freeze comp. This is what you came to see. You're going to activate this. You're going to, again, a cryo is how you always start out. This time I started with a field into Xingqiu's E and ultimate. And then I go into melee stance with Childe. I'm focusing on only the one that's in the cryo field, because the other one, I can't freeze lock right now, right? Because I didn't use Kaeya's ulti to open this up. Then I'm going to focus in. I'm going to realize that I'm low. I don't want my cooldown to get too high. So I'm going to switch off of Childe and start accruing that cooldown. And in the meantime, I can keep this character stun locked, right, by using my other characters and keep the attention. So that way I don't have to worry about that. And actually, I'm a little sloppy with my order here, I will say. I could have stun locked better. If you have Kaeya built up for damage, you could deal some real damage here as well. My Kaeya is only level 60, so not built for damage. I use Kaeya ult when melee stance is back up for Childe. I switch back to Childe. And then we focus in on the assassins, right? And this one will never get to do anything. This is where things get a little tricky for me, though. Notice that I'm now in Childe melee stance, and I'm committed. So I'm going to use this ulti, but now I can't switch out of melee stance because I used that ulti, and I promised you guys I wouldn't use the reset. So rather than continuing to freeze lock, I'm actually just going to DPS this guy down with Childe and never switch out of melee. And I'll actually get it with just enough time. You'll see the warning above my head right as we clear it. So yeah, that's probably a little riskier than needed, but anyways, that's a 9-star clear on floor 11. And let's just jump into floor 12. Yeah, why not? So here you can see I changed the comp a little bit. I pulled Chongyun out to run double pyro and to also take Xingqiu for her bonus physical damage and physical damage shred. So I think this is better. Chongyun's really brought on the other team comp primarily for those electro fatui at the end. So yeah, so I don't have that urge here. There's nobody with like hard shields here. So this is super fun, actually. Geo gets a huge boost on 412 this time around on Abyss. So you're going to see some crazy numbers coming out from these Geo explosions, like things I wouldn't normally actually have access to, which is pretty cool. And if you're interested in Albedo's build, I have a video that goes over how my Albedo's built and what he's running. He's using a 3-star weapon here, so that's pretty cool. And yeah, hopefully if you're interested in that content, you can find that on the channel. I haven't done a build video on Zhongli yet, because I'm waiting for Zhongli's buffs to come through in 1.3, and then I'll do a guide video for him after that. So, but look at this. I mean, they just group up around us, and it's basically just the Geo boys do most of the carrying here. I almost completely neglect, Bennett and Xingqiu on this first part. A little bit of use at the beginning, but just don't even need it. The Geo guys are just strong enough. It's really awesome. All right, freeze comp coming in next. You've seen it before. Let's see it again. So it'll just be this guy. Plus this one enemy is actually really easy. So you use all your abilities early. You start with Kaeya's ulti. It's basically just all the ultis except Diona, and then he'll die from that. He's never gonna get another attack off. Hence the name, Lion Permafrost. He'll never get another attack off. So that's pretty cool. All right, so we switch to this guy, and obviously I have a big cooldown now that I have to wait out on Childe's ultimate, so I'm just going to freeze him to buy time, and I'm also going to try and gain energy back. We'll use Diona's ult, and then I'll be able to switch to melee stance here. And you can see that I can just do this. The smarter play here, actually, if I really wanted higher DPS, would have been to use Kaeya's ult and also Xingqiu, but I like rushed it, I guess. So yeah, so now I'm kind of committed. So I switch out. I'll get another freeze off. There's Kaeya's ult. And notice something I can do here. I can freeze in range stance with Kaeya's ult and with Xingqiu's elemental skill. So Childe is not the only one who can freeze. You can freeze with these other characters to buy time for Childe's E. So I could use my elemental skill here, right? But I double tapped it on accident, so then it goes on cooldown. Then he starts to spin, so then I gotta shoot him to knock him down. And then at that point, I'm like, well, I'm committed. No elemental skill melee stance. I'm just gonna bow him down. But obviously, I would have been able to go back. So just a small mistake, double tapping it to go from range to melee to ranged again, which triggers a cooldown. All right, chamber 2. Let's see the double Geo boys go back at it. A really fun comp, one of my favorites. If they bring back Zhongli after buffing him in like another banner, I hope you guys will consider some of the potential here. You know, I'm really able to get some pretty nice damage out on him without the buffs, and again, the synergy between him and Albedo, it's wild. It's totally wild. So it's really cool and very fun to use. I feel like this would be hard normally, but we just get to ult spam them, so they don't really get to do anything. You know what I'm saying? And look at the kind of damage we're getting out with Zhong by using Xingqiu to improve our physical damage and shred. I mean, it's really quite something, the amount of physical damage we're able to get out. Look at that. 7,500 auto attack on Zhongli there. It's really quite amazing. And that wasn't even with Bennett ulti down. That was just pure physical damage. Oh, what a fun comp. Look at the things we can do. It's amazing. Yeah, I really have a good time here. So yeah, so there's not much more to talk about with this. Probably the one critique I'll give myself in watching this is I'm not rotating to Bennett and Xingqiu enough. I could be using them more for an even faster clear. I'm having too much fun with the Geo boys and not doing enough rotation to my pyro characters. All right, so again, always starting with cryo, then into some hydro, then cryo again if you want to use it, and into melee stance. Okay, we always open up with cryo, always. And then we do some kind of hydro application to help freeze. Actually, I made a small mistake here. I should have been able to keep the other one locked down. He shouldn't have been free like that, but I was a little lazy on my focus. Here we use the ranged burst again, right? Now we're locked out in melee stance, so we need to stall for time. So there you go. That's how we do it, right? Just keep them frozen. Stall for time, shoot the mark to detonate the mark. It works really well. What more can I say? All right, back to the double Geo boys. Dun, dun, dun. I have to do like a separate video just on this comp. People are gonna be like, "Man, that looked pretty crazy. What are you running on those characters?" I'll have to go into it. Anyway, I can't believe I got hit there like that. Maybe don't open that way. That was totally unnecessary for me to take that kind of damage. We'll get a nice meteor in behind them, and then you can see we'll be able to turn around and deal it. I am using, if you haven't watched the Albedo video, you should watch it, but I am using a 4-piece Archaic Petra, which is allowing me to boost my pyro damage in addition to my my other damage being boosted. So this is really nice, actually. It makes Bennett and Xingqiu hit harder, and when Bennett infuses pyro into Zhongli, because recall I made the mistake of taking Bennett to C6 when most people say stop at C5. So my Zhongli will start dealing pyro damage. It can help boost that damage. So it's actually really nice. And here you can see him doing that right now. Yeah, so it's a loss in damage for us when that happens, because he's built around dealing physical, but the damage is actually still very good. And we can help make up for that with the Petra set. Well, there won't be much to talk about after these guys go down. It's just that simple. Did you notice something weird happened? On this floor 12 clear, for whatever reason, when we got to chamber 3, it started bugging out. So it's not giving us countdowns. It's not, the sound has changed. But yeah, so it's going to freak out at the end of this, which is really weird. But I promise you it's a 9-star clear, and you'll see how it bugs out. So here again, remember we apply cryo first, then hydro. Did a cryo hydro, switch to melee stance for Childe. We have them grouped up so that we can get splash damage between them. That's important. Switching to range stance to minimize the cooldown on our melee stance, knowing that there's another enemy that's going to come up, right? Once they're already low health and we feel pretty comfortable. and then we'll just continue to prepare ourselves this way, right? There it is. Melee stance is back up, and we go back to this guy. I did make a mistake here, right? I should have done that first, because now I'm in this weird position where melee stance is on cooldown because I activated it too soon. So I had to switch off and wait, and then the cooldown came back and I can burst this guy down. So that was a small rotational error, but the general idea was the same, right? It's like, as soon as you make the mistake, just get off of it. Just get the cooldown done with. Don't like commit and mess up your freeze comp. All right, so then he's done. That should have been the end, but now you can see it glitched out. If you rewind, you'll see that we were within 9-star clear range, and now my stupid ass just runs around because I don't know what to do, and I'm trying to figure out why it's not ending. And yeah, but so I guess sometimes Abyss can glitch now. So hopefully this doesn't happen to you, and if it does, no problem, because now you know how to clear floor 12 with the freeze comp, and you'll just do it again and get 9 stars again. So super easy. Well, that's it for the Lion Permafrost. I hope you enjoyed learning about my team comp. If you liked the video, please take a moment to subscribe to my channel and enable alerts for new videos. I publish content each week about Genshin Impact, from new builds to farming routes that may help you in the journey ahead. I also stream live Sunday through Friday on Twitch, starting at 9 p.m. New York time. Hope to see you there. That's all I have for this video. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments below. I hope you have a great time playing Genshin Impact, and I'll see you next time.
Okay, faster.
Yes! Sniped! Get sniped, son! Holy that was cool! Get sniped!